for the ball. So you can see her dress. Sorry about the cats. Her dress is made in 2 layers, and a really good suggestion that I have for you, if you're paying for somebody else to make your dress, is to ask to have it made the 2 layers separately. In order to make a bodice fit nicely, it's typically faced, if you want to just faced in the same fabric or faced in a lining fabric. And it's nice, but if imagine, for example, that we put something this color underneath it, underneath Emily's dress, it would totally change the look of the outfit. So if we had a green underdress made, you could see that green peeking through. Or if you had a print underdress made, you could see it peeking through. I'm going to show you an example of that in a little while. The other thing that you can consider is having, using that same underdress and then having a separate overdress made for a ball, maybe out of a finer fabric like lace. But realistically, sheer white like this, a sheer white fabric, and you can see it turned sideways, so you can see on her arm here that it's got a little bit of a pattern, a cross-hatch pattern. That was not uncommon. This is modern drapery fabric, obviously. I'm not the best one for spending a lot of money on my costumes. But dotted, like a dotted embroidered white cotton was very common, or to have white cotton that was sheer, similar to the overskirt that we just saw Kelsey, right? Kelsey wearing with the flowers. That was very common also. So if you're hiring somebody to make your dress, I would ask to have the lining, you can see that she's actually wearing 2 dresses, the lining and the overdress made separately. And it'll cost a little bit more, but you'll get more use out of it in the long run. It'll be able to be worn for more occasions. Some other pieces that you might consider, again, getting ready for the ball. This is probably my least practical outfit, but it's one I get the most comments on. And I don't know if it's kind of tight on me. This is actually made out of a sari. The top is a sari and the bottom is drapery fabric. And this is a coat type outfit that you would wear to, that you would wear to go to the ball. It's a little bit fancy just to wear every day. Maybe Carolyn Bingley would, but you can see that it's got, the top is the middle part of the sari. The collar is gathered up sari edging, and then again, this is drapery fabric. It's a little on the Barbie side. If you hang out with ren hair people long enough, you'll hear the word Barbie. It's like, that kind of looks like it should be on a sofa or something. And even though it's incredibly Barbie, this is the outfit that this one gets more comments, even than the ball gown I'm going to show you. So another thing that you can do if you're having somebody else make your dress is to plan ahead for what are you going to wear to the ball. Because really, so many of us wearing the costumes, that's what we're aiming for is the ball. So this one, I happened to take a little short Spencer jacket. It was common in the Regency era to have just the jacket made without the train on it to liven up an outfit, to have something made out of a different fabric. It didn't really add any warmth. It didn't really add much besides extra dressing time. Let me get that for you here. But you can see just that bright little pop of color in the front would make a big difference, and it was common to have a little short skirt on it in the back. Or you also sometimes saw like a half dress similar to what Debra showed us. I'm going to turn around again. This is made out of cotton lame. And I got a little creative with the Mardi Gras beads, just a little. And then the flowers are made out, this is some self-trim that I made. The flowers are made out of quinceañera decorations. My best place to go for flowers, for flower trim, is the shops that sell party supplies for Hispanic 15th birthdays. And so I bought this bag. It just looked like crunched up gold foil or something. And I took it out, and there were all these wonderful little flowers inside. You can see I've taken them apart to do, I've taken the leaves, put those on for kind of a Napoleonic look, something like Empress Josephine would have worn. And then I spotted the flowers throughout, and then I did some kind of interesting figure eights. And sometimes the trims on Regency costumes, particularly the upper crust costumes, looked a bit on the clunky side if you look at the fashion plates. And so I thought she could work this pretty well. Come on over here. Another accessory you might need for the ball is a fan, and this is just one of those little cheap sandalwood fans that you can find anywhere. And the person who sold it to me, she was a good friend of mine, had actually hit it with some gold and glitter spray paint, and I thought that was pretty effective. Another thing that you saw in the evening, particularly for a married woman or an older woman, was a turban. And this isn't exactly a turban. This is a repurposed rim fair cap. So you might see that on, I don't know. I don't think it's dark enough for Hamlet. But I took a rim fair cap, and then you could take your take your trim, matching trim, and wrap it around. And if you put a brooch there and perhaps an ostrich feather, I'm not really into feathers myself. They make me sneeze a little bit. But you can see how 2 or 3 feathers would really jazz that up. I am not a turban person. I've tried. I've failed miserably with turbans. But this is an easy way. If you take an existing cap and then wrap trim around the outside of it, it's almost foolproof. Almost. Not quite. Another... Sorry, we knew we were going to do this with her hair. So another option is, of course, the tiara. Which I love the tiara. And remember that only a lady with a title would be wearing a tiara, but who says that you can't do that? And pearls, of course, we got pearls. Are you warm yet? Never admit that you're not hot. That joke works okay with me. And of course, your jewels for the evening. We won't stab her in the ears just yet. Put some big killer earrings. That really adds a lot. And then finally, I wanted to show you, Emily gave me these earrings. She works at a place where they give a little discount on jewelry. And she gave me these earrings that had some stones were missing. And I made a really interesting piece. I was doing my research on Pinterest, a really interesting piece of jewelry. Turn sideways. You can see, sorry, let's get a thread here. I popped out that center stone, and I put part of my picture on it. And it was extremely expensive to have portraits done of people back then. And it was pretty expensive to have a miniature made. The idea that you might even repurpose a miniature for your next partner, as that happened in Persuasion, the idea that you'd have to have that reset as a piece of jewelry and give it to somebody else. And so in order for people to have an affordable piece of art of their loved ones, I don't know how she feels about it now, because I've been messing with her for the last hour. I took my skull picture and cut out just the eye. They would have just the eye. And this is a piece of jewelry. It was eye jewelry. And you would have the eye of your loved one staring at you. You could wear it on the inside. It was beautifully set in jewels. But there we go. Mom's eyes are watching out for you. Look out. And I'm going to go ahead and have a seat. Debra, did you have anything else while we're getting my next costume set up? No, go ahead. Okay, come on up. All right. So if this were Avery's nicest outfit, she could wear it on her wedding day, but most weddings were done in the morning because that's where the bands were read in church. That's when church took place. The Church of England had rules about when you could get married, and unless you were going to get a special license, you got married in the morning. And so a typical wedding cap would be, or a wedding bonnet. It wouldn't be like a tiara and a veil like your brides wear now. Arrange your hair however you like, dear. Isn't that sweet? So a typical wedding headdress would be a bonnet, and veils were worn. They weren't necessary, but often they were attached just right here. And this was on everyday clothes too. That you might go ahead and look up. You might wear just a veil with your everyday clothes to keep the sun off, or to keep bugs out, or anything else. And so here we have. You didn't notice when it happened today, did you? What did it happen when you woke up this morning? And it was real typical to just move the veil to one side, or move it like that, just over the top of the rim of the bonnet. Have your ribbons hanging down with a bouquet. Isn't that sweet? That freaked you out. Okay. Have a seat. We'll let Debra talk for a while.
Well, my name is Debra, Peck, and these are my assistants, Kelsey and my brother, Marginette. And I don't have much to add. We kind of have similar programs, but I can talk a little bit about some of the things that weren't used in Regency clothing. There were no zippers invented yet, so buttons were made of either bone, shell, or one of the most popular buttons was called a Dorset button. And they were little round discs of wood that you wrapped yarn around and then did a decorative edging on them. And so they were very, very inexpensive to make and were used a lot. And they were named after the Dorset area of England. And we briefly talked earlier about the Van Dyck points. And those were named after a Flemish painter of the time, Sir Anthony Van Dyck. And he used a lot of lace work and pointed lace work, especially in his paintings, so then the lace work became known as Van Dyck points. And on this little Spencer, I purposely used what would have been known then as Van Dyck lace with the little points. Some colors popular at the time. Fortunately, all the colors that were popular at the time are available today also. They were just known as different colors. This green would have been known as Pomona green. Yellows were known as daffodil, canary, or primrose. Gray was known as slate. And there was lavender, blue, red, and puce, which is a very hard color to describe, but probably something pretty close to this. Purplish brown colors. And sleeves were, of course, as you've seen from all the costumes modeled, were either short puff sleeves, 3/4 length, or long, and sleeves that were attached under the puff sleeves. There was nothing sleeveless as a dress itself, but lots of sleeveless overdresses. And shoes were ballet slipper types, like we're all running around in. Socks were usually white cotton socks. They didn't have our nylons of today. Shoes are half boots, like Janelle is wearing. The lace-up half boots were very popular. And mules, which we also have today. There's the black backless shoe that you slip into. On the hats, bandeaus, which were the hair bands, and they were made of cloth, lace, just a hairband like this, and they were quite popular. You could dress them up. A lot of the upper classes would use feathers, like Yvette talked about earlier. Jane would not have used feathers because she wasn't in the proper class to use them. And in those days, everybody was very class conscious, and they did try to dress in a way that was above their class. They just didn't do that. And in one of Jane's novels, she talks about 2 maids actually being let go because they dared to wear white when they were below class to wear white, so they were considered presumptuous and they were released from duty. So it was something that the people of that time were very, very conscious of. Thank goodness we aren't that way now. But they were conscious of that then. So feathers would have been something that Carolyn Bingley or Catherine de Bourgh would have worn, but not Jane or her sister. And we pretty much covered accessories, the Spencer shawls, fichus, pelisses, reticules, bonnets and hats. These bonnets were popular in the time. Straw bonnets were very popular. These are widely available online. The Regency type had a